Hi, this is Amber. So there are many strange houses out there, from a skate park house to a 100% recyclable one. Here are 11 of the strangest houses in the world. Number 11, Teapot Dome. This house may look like the home of a magical fairy, but this one was actually built as a reminder of 1922's Teapot Scandal. In this incident, Secretary of the Interior Albert Bacon Fall had leased Navy petroleum reserves at Teapot Dome in Wyoming, as well as other locations in California, to private oil companies at low rates without competitive bidding. He was later convicted of bribery and became the first cabinet member to go to prison. This house is not in use today. It's simply a drive-by tourist attraction, but at one time it was used as an operating gas station. Since then, it has seen quite a bit of wear and tear. Another Teapot house was sold to a woman in France for 10,000 euros, which equals about $12,000. It was later transferred from its home in Scotland to France, where the woman lived. With this house, the lid can be removed to allow light in. Number 10, Boeing 727 house. No, this isn't Flight 815 or any other lost airplane. This aircraft isn't just a house, but a hotel. For just 300 euros a night, roughly $365 US, tourists can bunk in a suite at this Costa Rican hotel. The price is equivalent to that of the Ritz Hotel in London. At one time, this 1965 Boeing carried passengers for the Colombian Avianca Airlines, but now it's part of the Costa Verde Resort. The cost may be high, but it took a lot of work to convert this plane into a living space. But maybe not as much money went into it as you would think. The hotel was inspired by a home built by Joanne Ussery when her brother-in-law salvaged a plane at her request. It was purchased for $2,000 and fully renovated for $24,000. Joanne encourages others to follow in her footsteps. But if Joanne's creation was anywhere near the price of the hotel, that is quite a hefty profit for the hotel owners. Still, guests believe that the view from the custom observation deck at the hotel is worth every penny. Number 9, toilet-shaped house. You don't need to see a photo of this house to realize how strange it is. Don't worry, the creator had his reasons. Sim J. Duck, chairman of the organizing committee of the inaugural General Assembly of the World Toilet Association, decided that such a house was a movement the world needed. The name of the house is Haewoo-jae, which signifies in Korean a place of sanctuary where one can solve one's worries. Fitting, I'd say. But the house was actually built to signify the need for better sanitation. Did you know that only 5% of people properly wash their hands after using the toilet? This is incredibly disturbing and worrisome. But thanks to that 5%, I'm talking to you, Sim J. Duck, we can make the world a cleaner and more tolerable place. Number 8, Elefante Art House. As the name suggests, the Elefante Art House really is a work of art. This house was hand-built by Arizonan Michael Kahn and his wife Lita Levant over a 28-year period. This house has many amenities, including central heating, running water, and electricity. However, it does not include an indoor bathroom. The house had no original plan, but rather developed over time as inspiration struck the artists. The name of the house was given after seeing that the entrance, an oddly shaped tree trunk, gave the house an elephant-like appearance. Among rocks and wood, the house was built with rebar and pipes coated with concrete, glass, and pottery shards for decoration. In 2007, the owner of the house passed away, but it is still a popular tourist attraction for those in the Cornville, Arizona area. Number 7, one log house. The average log cabin requires anywhere from 40 to 80 logs. Guess how many this one took? That's right, 1. The log was hollowed out in 1946 from a redwood tree that was over 2,000 years old. The section of the tree it was taken from weighed over 80,000 pounds. It took 8 months of hard work to hollow out this trunk. The room is 13 by 32 feet with 7-foot ceilings. There were enough wood chips retrieved to build a 5-bedroom house. There is a living area, dining room, and a bedroom in this home. It was originally meant to travel the country, and it still has its own set of wheels, but due to its size, the house only made a few long stops in its lifetime before resting on US Highway 101, just south of Garberville, near Richardson's Grove State Park in 1999, where it remains today. Number 6, Nautilus House. For those oceanic fans, the Nautilus House may be your dream home. And who could blame you? This home near Mexico City may be the most unique house on the list. Javier Sonozi, the architect, is a big believer in bioarchitecture, which is the idea that buildings based on the natural principles of organic forms bring us back to local history, tradition, and cultural roots, in turn creating harmony with nature. The entrance is cut into a wall of beautiful, colorful stained glass that will give you a hard time getting past it, as you might become awestruck due to its beauty. Once inside, you will notice the integrity of the house doesn't change as it keeps its natural theme. The entrance from the inside is a garden of sorts. Moving on, the shower is a sight to behold on its own. The spout is a seashell and the entire wall is covered in blue marbles that are set in the wall. The sink has adapted the same design. The living room sits in a garden of its own and the kitchen and dining area seem to meld into the house's structure. Number 5. HAINES Shoe House. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. We all know the popular nursery rhyme, but did you know that there really is a shoe house built by Colonel Malin Nathaniel Haines? His profession as a shoemaker caused him to build a giant shoe for advertising purposes in 1948. The man knew how to run a business. He owned 40 shoe stores, many in Pennsylvania, where his shoe house remains. There have been reports that he would stand up at baseball games and give $20 to anyone who knew who he was. It's not only the main house that is shaped like a shoe, but also the mailbox, doghouse, fence, and the stained glass. At times, Haines would allow elderly couples and newlyweds to stay in this house, served by a live-in butler and maid. Each guest went home with a complimentary pair of shoes. Today, the shoe is a tourist attraction as the small quarters are not ideal for guests. Number 4. Upside Down House. We're definitely not in Kansas anymore, but we're not in Oz either. Oddly enough, there are probably 100 upside-down houses in the world today. One of the most frightening is one that was formerly installed on the rooftop of the Museum Moderner Kunst in Austria. This has recently been removed. There is also an amusement park called Wonderworks with 6 upside-down attractions across the country. But there are only a few upside-down live-in houses that are still functional today. One of the most fascinating and strange is probably the upside-down house in Poland. This house is complete, and from the inside it works just as any other house does. Tourists enter the house through an attic window and are able to walk through the house on the ceiling. The theme of the house is 1970s communist Poland, and the furnishings hold true to this. The meaning of the house was to give this message: life in communist Poland turned the world upside down. That, and it looks pretty darn cool. Number 3. Transparent House. I've seen my fair share of transparent houses, but none of them top this see-through home in Tokyo, Japan. It is called House NA and was designed by Sue Fujimoto Architects. The inspiration for the house was supposedly drawn from our ancient predecessors who inhabited trees. The intriguing point of a tree is that these places are not hermetically isolated but are connected to one another in its unique relativity. To hear one's voice from across and above hopping over to another branch, a discussion taking place across branches by members from separate branches. These are some of the moments of richness encountered through such spatially dense living, says Sue Fujimoto. Number 2. Flintstone House. I suppose this house looks quite familiar. That's because it is simply a replica of that house back in Bedrock built by the Flintstones. Dick Clark decided to build this house when he was turned down by the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy to build a modern-day house in the area. Clark's architect suggested a natural-looking house that the Conservancy would agree to. This house has a 1-bedroom and 2 bathrooms. The interior is made of wood and steel covered in concrete for that prehistoric look. The exterior is heavy stucco with lots of rocks thrown into the mix. A few years ago, before his death, Dick Clark sold the house for quite a bit below market value. The reason isn't known, but new owners seem to be happy with their purchase. Although if Dick Clark had trouble getting what he wanted, surely it would be impossible for anyone else. Number 1. N55 Walking House. For fans of Howl's Moving Castle, you'll want to get a load of this house that can actually move on its own. The small house is complete with a kitchen, toilet, bed, and wood stove. The house is solar powered and walks at 3 miles an hour, which is the average walking speed of a human. This house took a lot of science and mechanical skill to create, but it wasn't such a big deal for MIT student Samuel Kronick. Samuel's next plans involve an amphibious house that can float on water as well as walk on land. We plan to make the house walk well and reliably enough that you could program a set of GPS waypoints via the onboard computer, remotely from an iPhone or over the internet through a Google Maps interface or similar, and have the house follow that path, he says. He has made the walking house complete with an online manual. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. See you next time. Bye!